Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day, and today guys we're going to be going over probably one of the best speed farming rogue builds inside of Season 1, or just inside of Diablo as a whole. This build will probably be good for seasons to come. Now this is kind of like an updated version of my alchemical rogue build, so if you're someone that wants to speed farm tier 70, 80, 90 and tier 100 just so you can try and level up your glyphs as fast as possible, because you know there's no point to fighting enemies higher than 10 levels than you because of the way that the scaling works in this game. So the only reason you're going to be speed farming tier 70, 80, 90, 100 is if you want to just smash out and level up your glyph as quickly as possible. Since we are on the topic of speedrunning, I'd like to draw your attention to another awesome YouTuber by the name of Blaze Gaming. He is using very similar builds to me. Maybe I'm using very similar builds to him, whatever way you want to look at it. He is another frostbitten aspect enjoyer. Highly recommend you guys go and check him out. I'll leave his link in the description below. He has loads of different variations of the frostbitten rogue build, and he has some insane runs, some insane speed clears of dungeons. I think he's got like a 2:30, which is ridiculous. That is absolutely insane. So make sure you go and check him out. He's an absolute goat when it comes to speed running nightmare dungeons with rogue. Now this build has insane damage, probably some of the best damage you can get out of a rogue build. Now we do have really good mobility with dash, and we also are running max movement speed, which is really good to stay mobile and just avoid all of those enemies' attacks. And being a rogue, we also have some of the best CC in the game, especially with this build being able to freeze, stun, daze enemies, knock them down. We have some of the best CC in the whole entire game. And I know the rogue's kind of squishy, but we do kind of have pretty decent survivability with the build. I will get into that when we get into our gear, like kind of like the stat prioritization that you should be taking on your gear. It's going to help a hell of a lot. Now moving on over to the skills guys, we are still running puncture. Puncture is arguably one of the best basic skills for rogue. We're also taking twisting blades. Again, I'm a very big twisting blades enjoyer. Twisting blades is one of the strongest core abilities that rogue actually has. For the next skill we have dash. Dash is going to be really good to keep us mobile and also help us to speed run dungeons faster. Now next up we have smoke grenade. Now I love smoke grenade. Smoke grenade is really good so we can get instantaneous CC out on the enemies, and also because we're running frostbitten aspect, it's also going to help us freeze enemies. I forgot to mention, but we are running 7 skills with this build. Pretty much every rogue is going to be running 7 skills, so we are also taking dark shroud. Now for the next skill I am still using concealment. Concealment is just a lot easier to use on controller. If you're someone that wants to speed run even faster, I highly recommend trying out shadow step. It's just really awkward to use on controller. You can't really aim with it. That's why I like concealment. It's just an easier way to get out unstoppable. But if you are someone that wants to speed run even quicker and you are on keyboard and mouse, shadow step is probably 100% going to be the way to go. And then for the last skill we are running cold imbuement. This is going to help us get more chill procs out there, so then we can try and freeze enemies when we drop stun grenades on them. Now moving on over to the skill tree guys, as always I will pin the max roll build planner as the top comment, so you guys can just click on that. You can follow the skill tree there. I'm actually not going to go over and explain the skill tree because I feel like I've done it a million times, and I'm pretty sure by this point you guys know how rogue works. That's why the build planner is there, so then you can just copy the skill tree from the build planner. The one thing I would like to mention for anyone that just still doesn't know, the reason we're still taking consuming shadows, the reason we put 2 points here is Barber does scale off shadow damage, so when we kill enemies with Barber, it is refilling our energy, so we're able to keep our energy almost topped up all the time as long as we continue killing enemies with Barber, which, you know, isn't really that hard. So that is why we still have our points in consuming shadows even though we're not using shadow imbuement at all. And then also another thing as well guys, for the key passive, if you are looking for a little bit more defense, go momentum. It will help a little bit, but if you are someone that wants to speed run through dungeons as fast as possible, close quarter combat, it's still going to be your best option. Even if we are just losing a little bit of defense, we're able to kill the enemies a hell of a lot faster, so therefore it kind of balances itself out. But if you are finding that you are dying a little bit, go ahead and take momentum. That 20% increased damage reduction is going to help a lot. For the specialization, we are just using combo points. I actually started testing like higher nightmare dungeons, like tier 95 plus. Inner sight, I don't know if it just isn't working or it just doesn't feel like it's proccing on the enemies how it should be. It's really weird. So I've just gone back to combo points. Combo points seems to be the way to go. You definitely get way faster boss kills. So yeah, has anyone else had any issues with inner sight when you are fighting bosses, with inner sight just not building up and you actually not getting it proccing? I would really like to know, but for now I am just using combo points 100% of the time now, even for boss fight. Now moving on over to the gear and stats guys, I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible to keep you guys entertained. Don't want to bore you guys, don't want to keep you guys here for too long. So first up, on a helm we are still running shared misery. I would like to make a note to try and prioritize at least basic skill attack speed and life on kill. Life on kill is going to be huge since Siphoning Strikes doesn't really do its job anymore since it got gutted. So yeah, definitely 2 stats to look out for on your helmet. Next up, we are still running Might. Might's really good just to give us 20% damage reduction whenever we use our basic skill. Now, obviously on your chest and your legs, you want as much damage reduction as possible and as much armor as possible. So as you can see here, I am prioritizing a lot of damage reduction. And I've got my total armor, and I've also got maximum life. Ideally, I would like damage reduction from distance enemies. I'm missing a bit of that, and it hurts in some dungeons. Next up on my gloves, we have the frostbitten aspect, arguably one of the strongest aspects the rogue has at its disposal. Again, you want to make sure you prioritize your twisting blades, critical strike chance, attack speed, and critical strike damage with imbued skill. For our pants, we are still running disobedience. Disobedience is still really, really strong. Again, I'm prioritizing a lot of damage reduction on my legs, as well as I got a max roll of total armor. This is really going to keep you alive. If you are not taking damage reduction on your chest or legs or headpiece, you're going to feel it, especially being a rogue. We are very squishy. We're about as defensively strong as a wet paper bag. Of course, for our boots, we are taking the unique boots, the Penitent Greaves. This is going to let us get more chill procs out on the enemies, and we also deal more damage to chilled enemies. The boots are also really good because they always come with a guaranteed roll of movement speed. For our crossbow, we are still using the accelerating aspect. This is going to give us a 50% increase in attack speed whenever we critically strike with our core skill. This is kind of like the bread and butter of the build. If you are not running accelerating aspect on your bow, this build will still feel good, but it won't feel as good. For our necklace, we are still using the Umbrious aspect. This is how we're going to get Dark Shroud out for free. For our ring, I have my Twisting Blade aspect on here. Again, another aspect that you're going to need for this build. And for the next ring, I do have the Expectant aspect. This is going to increase our core skill damage whenever we use a basic skill. I've gone for Edge Masters on my sword. This is going to give us a 20% increased damage based on how much primary resource we have. Because Barber's scaling off shadow damage and refilling our energy, I find that we are pretty much always staying 50% to full energy nearly all the time. And then for the last weapon, we are taking the unique Dagger Decondemnation. But the best thing about this unique weapon is we're able to generate 3 combo points without having to use 3 basic skills. Overall, the flow of the build just feels a lot better when you're just not having to use basic skill 3 times to actually generate 3 combo points. Condemnation does all the heavy lifting for you. You do have a chance to just generate 3 combo points, which is then in turn really good because then we get more damage out more consistently. And then the other really good thing about the Condemnation is it comes with basic skill attack speed. So I've got a max roll here. I've got 15%. I've also got 15% on my helmet. So I've got 30% extra basic skill attack speed, which is in turn really good because we get more combo points, and then we can also deal damage faster and have that build up quicker on Barber. Now moving on over to the hearts that we are taking, guys. No surprise that we are still running Barber. Barber's just insanely strong. And again, make sure you use it because once season 1 ends, boys, she gone. She's gone. She's going to be gone. For the next heart, we are still taking new munitions heart. This is going to be really good for whenever we lucky hit. It's going to drop 6 stun grenades on the enemy. If they're chilled, they're most likely going to get frozen, which then makes us do more damage. And then for the last heart, we are still using the revenge heart. You can use the decoy heart if you want. I just feel like the revenge heart is better because it just gives us a flat out damage reduction. Now guys, moving on over to the Paragon board. Again, the build planner will be down in the comment section. Make sure you guys go check that out. Again, I'm not going to be going over the whole entire Paragon board. I'm just going to be showing you guys what glyphs I am taking. So I feel like that's the most important information you guys would want to know. Now for the first glyph, I am still using control glyph. Now control is going to be really good because we're able to get so much CC out on the enemies. This is just a flat out damage increase to any enemy that we CC. And the bonus is really nice that we get a 10% times increased damage to slow and shield, able to do that all the time. Then we also get a 20% times increased damage to stun or frozen enemies, also able to do this all the time. Very, very good glyph to run with this build. Now next glyph we are using is the closer glyph. This is just going to give us a flat out damage increase to our cutthroat skills, which is our twisting blade and dash. And then also the bonus is really good because it's just going to give us a 10% damage reduction whenever we're wielding a melee weapon. Now next glyph is the combat glyph. This is just going to give us a flat out damage increase to critical strike damage. Very, very nice. And also the bonus skills that critically strike restore 12% of their energy cost. Again, just really good to help top our energy up when Barber isn't killing enemies and giving us energy that way. We're still running Frost Feeder glyph. Frost Feeder again really good. It's going to increase our damage to chilled enemies. We're always chilling enemies with the Penitent Greaves boots. And then we also gain a 20% increased chill effect. So our boots and also just our chill imbue are going to be able to freeze enemies faster on their own without having to use the frostbitten aspect to then freeze enemies. I have tried playing around with a lot of other glyphs in this spot, and Frost Feeder just seems to be the best overall. It just flows the best. And then last but not least, I am taking the Turf glyph. This is just going to give us a flat out damage increase to close enemies. We're a melee rogue, we're always going to be close to enemies, so this is always active 100% of the time. And then the bonus is another really good one. It's just going to give us 10% damage reduction against close enemies. Again, we're always going to be close to enemies, so we're always going to be getting that 10% damage reduction. And that's basically it, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this build video. A little bit of an update on my alchemical rogue build. Now I do have one more rogue build that I do want to try out, and it will not be using Barber. I'm going to be trying to use the Creeping Death Heart. It'd be interesting to see if it works. I know you can get some pretty decent poison dots out there, but is it going to be better than Barber? Probably not. Be interested to see if it does work though. Appreciate all the love and support as always on the videos, guys, and until next time, stay safe, peace out.